To try and capture all of the lessons that I learned during my time at Grand Street would probably be impossible, especially stuffed into a 3 minute presentation. However, I'm going to do my best to try to highlight the most important ones. So, just before diving into the lessons that I learned, I want to quickly highlight my roles at the school. So, my first one was social media management. My second one was facilitating the peer mentorship program that was piloting this year. And then my last one was duties as assigned. So I'd come in, my supervisors would get me to do little tasks around the office. I would meet one on one with some students who were struggling, different things like that. So, the first lesson that I learned is the importance of details. This was specifically through my social media management role. So, this was informed by the professional knowledge, specifically the ethical standard of respect. And it's that educators have an ethical responsibility to honor student dignity, emotional wellness, and cognitive development. So, this social media is obviously not the most important thing at a school. However, it's the little details that help instill dignity within students that create a positive environment. I did this visually throughout the school through different things like bulletin boards, but also through the virtual presence of social media. You can use these small things to create a positive learning environment. So, an example of how I did this was through student highlights. This was done during Black Excellence Month, and this was a way to honor students who were contributing to their community, contributing to each other, and just really highlight the beautiful gifts that they had to offer around the school. So, this is an example of some of the ones that were put up on social media during that time, and it was just really fun. The students got excited about it, and it was those little details that help uplift and promote student dignity. The second lesson that I learned was the importance of authenticity. This was specifically learned through my role facilitating the peer mentorship program and building relationships with the student mentors that I was mentoring. So this is informed by the professional knowledge of trust. So educators have an ethical responsibility to embody openness and honesty, and then also the ethical standard of integrity, which is just a oneness, so being a consistent person. So the application of this is you have to be yourself. You shouldn't adjust to what you think the students want to see, because the students will sniff that out in a heartbeat, and it will really not help build that trust and integrity that you need to as an educator. So the way I did this was just being myself. I had a very different background than a lot of the students who came to a school. They are New Yorkers. They're growing up in maybe situations that aren't as privileged as what I grew up in. However, they would have known if I was adjusting. So I was just myself. These are some examples, just like I made them cookies. I used like super lame humor. I got really decked out for all of the spirit events. These things obviously come off a little lame, but it's who I am. And the thing is, at the end of the day, the students appreciated it, and it helped build that trust because they knew I wasn't fronting to try to appeal to them. And I was able to develop some really beautiful relationships as a result of applying this ethical standard of trust and integrity in the way that I interacted with the students. So that is the second lesson I learned, which is the value of authenticity. The final lesson that I learned is the importance of asking questions. So, this was in my duties as assigned section. So, more specifically, when I was mentoring students, I would have students come into my office and be going through some struggles, and I had to speak into them. And my first inclination was to just tell them what to do. However, applying the lessons that I learned about critical pedagogy, it's important to know that students learn more effectively when they collaborate with their educators rather than being told what to think. This is how you actually affect change, because the students are participating in the learning. So the application of this is asking questions rather than trying to deposit knowledge. So a few of the questions that I kind of not developed, but the questions that I found were effective are the ones that are listed on this thing. So have you considered XYZ? Can you expand on that? What are your next steps to address this? What part of this problem is within your power? What does this look like practically? Why do you think they act like that? How can I be supporting you? What needs to change? These are all kind of open-ended questions that helped facilitate their processing of the things that were happening to them and figuring out what their next steps were to address the issue at hand. So, overall, I learned to pay attention to the details, be authentic, and ask open ended questions. These all help facilitate student relationship, promote student dignity, and just build that foundation of trust that you need in order to affect change within a school. Thank you so much. This class has been amazing. I've really appreciated the opportunity to learn in such a practical way, and it really, really changed the trajectory of my professional development and pathway. And so I really appreciate you facilitating this class. Have an excellent rest of your semester.